Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the De-Escalation Lab, episode 6. I'm so happy that you're here with us today. We're going to keep the content rolling. We're going to talk about something today that's been on my mind. I'm sure it's been on a lot of your minds. We're going to talk about mass shootings. We're going to talk about what exactly defund the police is, what kind of programs are out there to help with this whole defund the police. And we're going to really get into it. So I hope you enjoy the content today. So this data doesn't lie. It's pretty scary. Mass shooting data from this month. So March 16th of 2021 to April 16th of 2021. So just a few days ago. 45 mass shootings in this country in the past month. 45. That's a huge number. What's interesting, if you look at some data, when we were in the heaviness of the pandemic, where the world, the country shut down, mass shootings pretty much stopped. Wasn't a lot of them, right? Everyone was inside, everyone was social distancing, not a lot of concerts or events going on. We open up a little bit more, and now these are starting to kind of filter back into our everyday life. But you might ask why? What's changed? Is it because we can now walk around, go around? I think that has something to do with it, but I also think we're in a world that's divided. Politically in this country, we're almost 50-50, right? There's really difficult times, employment, economical, not being able to see family, maybe a lot of your family or their family has passed away. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of unknowns. And I think this is really festering these mass shootings even more than they've ever been. We need to talk about this on the De-Escalation Lab because this matters, whether you are a civilian watching just to gain better skills, mental health clinician, doctor, provider, emergency responder. This data matters to us. I mean, it's almost uncomfortable to go to the grocery store nowadays. We don't know if we're going to be safe walking in to pick up food or going to work at a FedEx facility. Being in the military, going on base, a recent shooting there as well. Church, 45 in a month. This is another pandemic that we're in. We need it from the macro level, of course, administration, presidential administration, Congress, state, county, city. We need all of that. But what we really need is us. Yes, there's differences. It's okay to talk to them about differences, but we need to be respectful. We need to be less confrontational, open, loving, caring, supportive. This can't just be talk. If you don't agree with someone, that's okay. You don't have to go in guns blazing, literally. You can have a conversation with someone that could be civilized. We're all humans. We all are experiencing things that are difficult, regardless of what you believe in or how you believe in it or what you think may have happened or didn't happen. Now more than ever, we need to come together. And the only way you come together is you have a conversation and you be non-threatening in your confrontation. And we talk about things. We talk through things in a civilized, de-escalated conflict management style. But it's tough. It's not easy. And this data is showing it's not easy. We may have been hearing about defund the police. And when this first came out, I was like, whoa, defund the police? What does that even mean? And I think it's still up in the air of what people think it means versus the reality of what it means. So we're going to talk about it a little bit. So what does defunding the police actually mean? What it does mean is working to reduce funds that would go towards police budgets normally and move those or allocate those funds to different types of social services, programs, and support for the community. Trying to develop programs that lower police involvement with mental health emergencies, alcohol, drug support, homelessness concerns, and taking those funds to assist mental health services, creating different programs in the community like responsive community programs, crisis center, housing, employment services. Boy, we need that today more than ever, right? And overall, just trying to create better services for the community where the community needs it most. There's a lot of pros and cons to this defund the police aspect. And some of the cons, they include police do lose budgets, they lose hiring, possibly training avenues. But what they gain, what the community gains, is better funded services that will actually impact everyone around them and the community as a whole. It does not mean that we shut down the police, because let's be honest, regardless of what side you're on, we need the police. We need the police to be able to respond to mass shootings, to respond when things don't go well, when someone's in your house breaking in. We need police, believe it or not, to do traffic stops and to enforce laws that are there to keep people safe. But what we need is police to be better trained to handle mental health emergencies, diversity. They need to be trained at the cadet academy level, as well as the 22 plus year veteran that's been on the force. We need to implement trainings where police are working with different community providers, that we know that we could use each other's skills and support each other and come up with new, fresh, innovative, helpful ideas. And you're going to see a lot of them in a few minutes here. We need better ways to respond to mental health emergencies, drug and alcohol, homelessness. We need to completely take what we have, flip it upside down, but make it impactful and make it worth defunding, taking money away from the police. That's what this is. It's not closing down police departments across the country, but it is taking away allocated money that the police would use for things. So we are losing a little bit with this, but I think if it goes towards the right support, services, help, we're going to see pretty amazing situations. But training across the board for emergency response, from the police officer, the EMT, the medic, firefighter, all the way up to the incident responders responding to highway emergencies and everywhere in between. We can get better training at de-escalating, responding to crisis situations, responding to homicidal concerns, mental health emergencies, and we can respond in a trauma-informed care way that makes a difference and impacts the community, impacts that person, lowers the stigma that they already feel, and really validate that, yes, there's a problem, let's actually get you help instead of arresting you and taking you somewhere where you don't want to go. That's truly, in my eyes, and what the research is showing of what defunding the police really entails and what it's looking to do. Okay. We're going to watch a 2-minute video here. You may have seen this. This went viral. It's an amazing look and an officer doing the right thing. So we'll play this video and then we'll come back.
This is the first time Officer Tim Purdy and 18-year-old Jeremiah Glover have seen one another since that dangerous day.
Long time no see. You been doing all right? Yeah.
And this is the first time Jeremiah's mom has seen the now famous photo.
Wow.
And this is what happened.
This is 911, isn't it?
May 12th, North Carolina, Charlotte. Jeremiah's mother calls 911 to report her autistic son missing. He's got a history of violence, maybe suicidal.
We're doing good, and I don't know what happened today.
Purdy, a 22-year police veteran's just starting his day. On the radio, he already hears two fellow officers have found Jeremiah, but he reads something else in their voices.
You know what? Let me just kind of head that way and see if I might be able to help out a little bit.
Driving up, he sees the officers physically struggling to restrain the teen.
I pulled right here.
And senses it's about to go very bad. His next move is remarkable.
So as I approached him, I just kind of got down on my knees, and tried to get to his level.
What did you talk about after that?
Football, the Panthers.
The explosive situation turned into a conversation. fellow officer was so moved by the scene, he took a photo. It went viral. So tell me this, was the getting down on his level training or something you have just learned?
Just something that I've learned over the years.
Jeremiah's distraught mom remembers racing up, fearing the worst.
The officer definitely was on his level, sitting with them, communicating, and my son was safe.
Purdy is overwhelmed by all of the attention, saying he knows other cops do similar things daily without any recognition.
There you go. Leave on a good one, brother.
What could have gone wrong has turned out more than all right, thanks to a police officer who showed up armed with compassion. Martin.
So we can see that's a pretty remarkable video. And there's a lot of great things in this video. There's a lot of sad things. The officer had some experience, heard on the radio maybe it wasn't going right, kind of started realizing, okay, there might be some fighting going on here. There's some wrestling going on here. So he showed up. What's interesting, when he was being interviewed, he was asked, was this your training that you got or something else? He said something else. We don't train emergency workers to act like this. This is what we need to do. This kid could have easily been killed or hurt. This officer did the right thing, got down on his level, just had a conversation, built some rapport, built some trust, took time, all the things that we've been talking about on these videos. It's easy to do, harder to actually do in the moment, right? But if you have the training and you learn these skills, it will be very, very effective. And that's why training ultimately is the number one thing we need to make sure we do with emergency workers out there who are responding to these emergencies.
This is the first time.
Okay, so we defund the police. We take this money, we allocate it to social services. What does that look like? Let's talk about some programs that are out there. This is a CoResponder program, okay? We're gonna talk about two areas in particular. The goal essentially with CoResponder programs is to take the police out of certain 911 calls that may come in. Now, there's a few types of responder programs. One, I've worked on one like this where you actually, a mental health clinician rides with a police officer and responds to mental health emergencies or other emergencies of that nature. The other is these more other co-responder programs where you have a mental health clinician and you might have a firefighter, paramedic, EMT riding with them as well. So it really depends on the region. A lot of areas in the country are starting to do this now because of the Defund the Police. But the number one is CAHOOTS, Crisis Assistance Helping Out in the Streets. They are one of the first programs nationally in Eugene, Oregon. And they started out with a EMT paramedic and mental health clinician riding in a van. You can see down below, that's their van. Now, an officer is there in this picture. Maybe the officer called them, or maybe they needed additional support. But in 2020, their budget was almost $300,000. They had in 2019 about a little over 18,000 calls of service. What's remarkable about this program, 5 to 8% of the calls they went on were diverted from police officers. So one, this helps police go to actually stop crime and do what they're supposed to do. But two, 5 to 8% of those calls could have really de-escalated and not caused a lot of the police community situations that are going on now that we're seeing front page all over the news, all over our country. Right? So these programs matter. What they do is they go out, they assess the situation, and they work to get someone not only safe in the moment of the crisis, but they work to get that other connection. What's going to be the long-term goals here? What's going to be the treatment plan? Can we get you some medications? Let's get you connected. Let's actually, here's your appointment. Or some of these programs, they have vans. They could actually drive the client to the local crisis center or the emergency department to get that more support. So these programs are phenomenal. CAHOOTS in Eugene, Oregon is one of the first, and organizations and states and governments around this country are going to Eugene, Oregon to learn about this program and to develop programs based on this. Another area that's phenomenal is Colorado. They're doing some great things. So many programs across the country like I said, either have a mental health clinician with a police officer or teaming up with emergency services paramedic type situation. It's phenomenal. Colorado is doing something really creative. So they were one of the first states to allow legal marijuana use, and they tax it. And so what they did is they took money from that taxed marijuana and they created 10 co-responder programs, so either riding with police or clinician riding with EMS. And so they used $2.9 million worth of that marijuana tax, $400,000 from federal grants, and about $1.5 million from just a general state type fund to create these programs. And you can see from the bottom, this is one of the programs, I believe, in Denver, where they show up in a van. It's a mental health clinician, it's a paramedic. You can see that blue tub right there. They hand out snacks, water. They help people get connected. They solve the instant crisis situations that are going on. A lot of these programs too, if most of the time when you respond in the community to mental health, a good chunk of the time, the calls are due to someone not having the meds they need, not being on meds, or not being able to get their meds again. And this is true for many, many types of emergencies out there with mental health. So what do? Is they work on getting someone connected long-term. They get appointments. They go as far as getting the medications that this client needs and then going back out there. And the paramedic is licensed and able to actually show the client how to take the meds and talk about the symptoms and the side effects and all that kind of stuff. So really great stuff coming out of Colorado. There's even more co-responder programs. Are starting one in Aurora, Colorado as well. But again, it all stems back from this original program in Eugene, Oregon. When this first came out, when Defund the Police came out, and we're going to be putting clinicians to 911 calls, that's how it originally developed. I was petrified, right? I was petrified because, well, we need police. We do. And clinicians, you're going to put clinicians out in the field of 911 calls. That's dangerous. A lot of clinicians, as we've talked about, die every year in the field from situations like this. But what we're learning is these programs are safe. They are effective. The data is showing they work. Clinicians in Colorado, a lot of them are going out wearing bulletproof vests, right? We got to be mindful. We have to have radios. Also, what's really important, a lot of folks don't know this, is if, and I did this when I was riding with police officers, is you both have a set of keys. So if something happens to your partner who may be driving and has the spare set of keys, you can run to the rig and jump in and do what you need to do because you have keys too. So a lot of safety issues. What we need to do with these programs is, if they're riding with police, great. The clinician should be working side by side with the officer. They should know each other's skill set. They should be training together in simulation environments. But the same goes for paramedic and police officer, right? Training, simulations, knowing the protocols, developing protocols. What are we going to do here? What's the game plan? What's your role? What's my role? How do we connect those two together? Doing the 360 about safety, not just worried about talking to the client that we're with, but talking to other people that might be around, family members, or just being in a bad neighborhood and being aware of that as well. So there's a lot of things that need to still develop with these programs, but my nervousness of we're just going to send social workers to 911 calls has really diminished seeing how these programs are building. Now, these programs are across the country, and there's a lot really getting going. I've picked Eugene because that's kind of the grandfather, if you will, program out there, and Colorado because I think they're doing really smart things with their tax money that a lot of other states can use and implement. It's really important to implement these programs safely, slowly, build it up to make sure you have the funding, you have the staff. You know, if you're going to take paramedics and you're going to say, oh, you know what, you're going to jump in a rig and go with a clinician to mental health calls, maybe that paramedic doesn't want to do that. Maybe they didn't have a choice. So when you're building these programs, and the same goes for mental health clinicians, some clinicians don't want to be in the field in the moment, right? So making sure if you're assigning people to these, they really want to be there, they have buy-in for it. That is very crucial. So some references, you can freeze frame this from everything we talked about with the Colorado program, the Eugene, the YouTube video for the officer that did a phenomenal job. You can check them out as well. That's all I got for this week. Pretty low-key week, hopefully, for you. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're doing well. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell, hit the like button. You can visit me at timothyvictorella.com. It's listed right here. Connect with me. Let's connect. Let's do some trainings. Let's get this going. Let's really get this content out there so we can really impact the world and make a difference. Some awesome things coming up. Still working on the official date, but Dr. Patch Adams, you might know him as the famous clown, and he is a doctor. Robin Williams did a movie on his life. He will be doing an interview with us as well, so very excited. He's got a very awesome perspective about responding to mental health treatment that I think you're really going to enjoy. So we're still working out an official date, but he has the Gesundheit Institute. Please check out that website. Just type it in on Google. Donate to this guy. He's doing amazing things out there. He does a lot of clown trips for veterans. He's starting up an actual school. He's all about love and compassion. So give him some love. And when we do the interview, we'll learn all about him a little bit more and how he's trying to change the world one smile and laugh at a time. The other person we have that we're going to be interviewing very soon is Reverend Coyote Moon. She's a PhD, and she is part of the De-Escalation Lab. She's helping me out behind the scenes, doing a lot of content development and different things like that. But we're going to interview with Dr. Moon, and amazing background in metaphysics, spirituality, micro level of just helping thousands and thousands of people over the span of the career that Dr. Moon has had. So we're going to do an interview with Dr. Moon, talk a lot about what they've been doing out there in the world, and you're going to see a lot of content coming as well, videos and different things like that. So we're going to keep it rolling. We're going to always keep it as fresh as we can, and the fact of giving you content that is worth your time and that you can use daily to impact your life. So I wish you all the best. You take care.